A license to kill. You know, I thought only James Bond had that, but it turns out that our woke society is granting licenses to kill, to maim, to intimidate. Ready for this? To our children, even to our protected class children, them especially. Let's talk about Richneck Elementary School. That's a school in Virginia, and it's like so many other schools these days. It has become a dumping ground for the unwanted, the unmanageable, the mentally challenged children of today. In our headlong charge to coddle and cajole the more dangerous among us, we've created a new class of children. Junior assassins, rapists, muggers, and even, yes, capital criminals. Dateline Richneck Elementary School, Virginia, USA. The 6-year-old Virginia boy who shot his first grade teacher has a history of abusing others. Now, wait a minute. Okay, he's got a history. This time he took a 9mm gun to school and shot his teacher. Come on. This little bastard has a history of abusing other people. Once he even choked out a teacher. I mean, choked her out until she couldn't breathe and fell to the floor unconscious. That's according to a legal filing, okay? What the hell's wrong here? How does a 6-year-old choke out an adult? We'll cover that later. Now, I've secured the name and the image of this little bastard, but since he is a juvenile and a minority, his protected class status forbids me ratting him out, although God, I wish I could. Let's just call him DeShaun, shall we? Okay, little DeShaun is not so little, as his list of crimes in such a short period of time clearly demonstrates. He's much larger than his classmates, aka potential victims, aka his prey. He's a predator, plain and damn simple. He's large enough, he's vicious enough, and without conscience of any kind. DeShaun has a long history of violence on and off the schoolyard. You know, he once choked out an adult teacher to the point where she passed out from a lack of oxygen, and that was when he was only 5. What? Here's what happened. He sneaked up behind her. She was sitting in a chair, and he came up behind her and using his forearms to her throat and started squeezing as hard as he could. She was sitting in a chair. She had no way to get out of it. He was cutting off the air supply. Here comes that tunnel vision right before you pass out, and this little bastard is laughing and squeezing and laughing and squeezing. Come on. This same little shit has been seen whipping other children, beating them with his belt, and screaming obscenities, the like of which only a drunk sailor usually knows. I spoke with a teacher, we'll call her Irene, and she says, I quote, "When he was only 5, he was already a terror. One time I asked him to sit down at the desk, and he called me a whore, threw his book at me, and told me to shut the F up. The look in his eyes was enough to shut me up." End quote. Another teacher, a substitute teacher, says, quoting again, "I refuse to teach at that school," referring to Richneck Elementary, "because it's a zoo. It's required of me as a teacher to withstand the obscene language, the taunts, the threats, and even physical abuse of these little bastards because of their racial status. I thought we were all created equal. I guess I was wrong." End quote. Now that's a pretty honest view, because if the school board caught wind that they'd talk to me at all, they'd be out on the rear, maybe even set up or framed on some outlandish child abuse charge. School districts will go as far as they have to protect the cushy jobs of the administrators while throwing their teachers under the bus. I could go on and on about this. I could even report on other students at the same school, as young as 5, as old as 11, but that would fill pages and pages, and it would take more time than I have to report on the horribly run, extremely dangerous environment of the Richneck Elementary School and others like it across the country. When teachers report such violence, such outlandish behavior, they're almost always silenced and threatened with their jobs, and worse, if they speak out of school. A teacher told the Associated Press that DeShaun had come up behind her, this is the one we're talking about before, as she sat in a chair in front of the class and in front of the whole class. He locked his forearms across her throat, pulled back, and dropped down to his knees. That's a technique that is taught. That is not something that he just thought of himself. I'd love to know what's going on in his house. Oh my God, a mother and father? No, he doesn't have a father. 78% of these people don't know who their father is. So let's talk about a home environment from hell. The teacher immediately began to lose consciousness as this extremely well-applied chokehold began to do its work. Now, there could be no denying the intent of this little killer, which was to take the teacher's life. A teaching assistant had to pry DeShaun off the teacher as she slid from her chair onto the floor on borderline unconsciousness. For this, DeShaun was punished. They suspended him for an entire day. Excuse me? 1 day suspension for trying to kill a teacher. And you've got a history of beating other children, whipping people, tripping people, pushing them down the stairs. What the hell is wrong with here? This little bastard's outlandish behavior has progressed from whipping other children with a belt to choking out a teacher to finally shooting a teacher with a gun. How in the hell does this happen? Well, it's easy to explain. I'll give it a shot. Let's see. The woke environment in our public schools grants total immunity to minority children, or at least a very effective bulletproof vest behind which these protected class people have a free reign over the world around them. We need better mental health facilities for these lost boys and girls, and we need well-administered corporal punishment, behavioral modification. When teachers stopped paddling, spanking, caning, or whatever other method of applying physical pain to children was, that's when our slow ride to hell began. Now, in the case of DeShaun, he's been transferred to another school. Yeah, a wolf in sheep's clothing, he now has a new hunting ground on which to apply his viciousness, his thuggery, and advance his murderous technique. I wonder how long it will be before he shoots a teacher there. You know, it's taken decades working with these most protected class, but we finally made it. Now they all have a license to kill. I'm Max, and that's the way I see it.